Pennsylvania hospitals to offer the controversial Plan B emergency contraception to rape victims is coming under fire from some religious groups. Some officials are asking that Catholic hospitals be exempt from the bill because they believe that the so-called morning after pill amounts to a medical abortion. But advocates for rape victims say women who have been raped should be given all their medical options. State Representative Daylin Leach of the Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, is a sponsor of the bill. We also have with us Raymond Flynn. He's chairman of the American Catholic Alliance, and he opposes the plan. Okay, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. It seems, first of all, that the major dilemma here is that there are no medical tests that accurately show whether fertilization has occurred until the egg is already implanted in the uterus. But at that point, it would be too late for Plan B to be effective. So, Mr. Flynn, my first question goes to you. Why shouldn't a rape victim have access to Plan B up to 72 hours after being raped?
Well, I don't think it's accurate to say that there aren't any tests that indicate that life begins at conception. I've heard many ethical doctors and physicians and hospital administrators, not from a religious point of view, but from a technical biological point of view, who have said just the opposite, have said that life begins at conception. So therefore, if life begins at conception, particularly at Catholic or religious hospitals, that this would go against their conscience. Why would you force hospitals and doctors, physicians, administrators, why would you force them to go against their conscience for something that they believe is fundamentally morally wrong? I think that's a misguided policy. That
makes sense when it comes to, I guess, especially Catholic hospitals. So, Representative Leach, what do you say to that? Because if that is the point of view of that religion and a hospital is run by the Catholic Church, what say do you think that others should be able to have in this?
Well, first, Mika, you didn't ask about a test about when life begins. You asked about a test about whether this affects a fertilized egg. Every test, every study says that this does not affect a fertilized egg at all. It affects ovulation, it affects fertilization, it cannot affect implantation. So this can, under no medical evidence, be abortion. Now, there's no test about fertilization, so we can't rule it out mathematically. But if you're going to deny women health care, I think you need a higher burden of proof than just saying it's metaphysically possible. The fact is there's no evidence that this causes anything that Mr. Flynn would call abortion, which is why the Catholic Conference in New York, New Jersey, Wisconsin, and the National Conference of Catholic Bishops all support emergency contraception. It's not the entire Catholic religion, it's a few organizations within the religion. The fact is this has to be about the patient. A woman doesn't decide what hospital she's rushed to after she's raped. She is taken there, and we have to avoid the situation where she's brutalized a second time by being forced to be impregnated by a rapist when that is easily preventable.
All right, point taken. Raymond Flynn, would you like to respond to that?
See, this is what's happening. You're having legislators making these decisions that, in all due respect, are not qualified to make these decisions at all. These ought to be made by experts in the field of ethics and biology and hospital care, not by politicians at the respective legislators. At his hearing that he had up at Harrisburg, there were prominent medical experts, there were Catholic physicians, there were clergy, there were a number of administrators, and they said exactly what I'm saying. And now he can point, the state representative there can point to other states and other people, but why doesn't he just accept the testimony that was given up at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in opposition to this type of slippery slope that the legislator here is attempting to take the government of the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in.
Go ahead,
slippery slope.
Representative Leach, go ahead.
Mr. Flynn was not at that hearing. I was at that hearing. There was not one doctor who came and said that there was some peer-reviewed study that showed an impact on a fertilized egg. By the way, it's ironic when people make arguments like, you know, they shouldn't force us to do what we don't want to do. This violates our conscience. They have no problem with forcing women to carry a child for 9 months once she's impregnated. So when you talk about,
this issue is really about abortion, isn't it? That's what the issue is about. It's about abortion.
In a way, it is. I mean, it's an offshoot, gentlemen, of the abortion issue for sure.
Well, can I comment on that?
Go ahead.
The fact is that my bill is the single most effective pro-life bill that we've introduced in the Pennsylvania legislature in 20 years. Rape victims who get pregnant disproportionately get abortions for obvious reasons. This pill will prevent, there's 25,000 American women who get pregnant as a result of rape every year. This pill will prevent 95% of those pregnancies. This will prevent thousands of abortions. You take that certainty.
Okay. With those numbers, I'm going to give Mr. Flynn 10 seconds, but that's a good point.
I'm wondering whether or not you could really eliminate abortions by repealing Roe v. Wade, and then you'd really have a record to run on, and that is to eliminating abortions in America.
All right, Raymond Flynn and State Representative